Yes, it's that time of year again. It's August, September. You know the time. It's when Apple, Samsung, all these big tech companies have their overly ostentatious events, right? You know, they spend the third world's debt on marketing and PR and animations and graphics to make their products look better than they actually are. They wheel out all the big guns on the stage, right? You know, they chisel them off their yachts, so these walking wax sculptures. You just drop them on the stage and like wake them up with a bit of go-go juice or inject them with some gin and Dubonnet. Right, mate, just say that, right? Read that and say, make sure you drop in the words better than ever before. And make sure you say unprecedented far too often. Never mind the fact that you're making our devices last year sound absolutely dreadful and obsolete, but this year you really mean it. It worked on me because I've just bought the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 Classic 46mm edition when I categorically, I tells you, didn't need to because I already had the now outgoing, arguably now obsolete, it's not really, Samsung Galaxy Watch 3 45mm edition. And that raises quite a few questions, chief amongst which being, did I need to buy this? And would I do it all again now that I know what this is like? Or should I have just kept the Watch 3 and just settled for what I already had? So it'll be different people in different positions, right? You might be thinking about buying a new Watch 4 as your first ever smartwatch. You might be thinking about upgrading from an older Android watch. Or you might be thinking about changing over from an Apple Watch. Who knows? Different people with different perspectives. Mine is from the point of view of someone upgrading or migrating across from the Watch 3. But check out different channels with different perspectives to get different takes and opinions. This is Tech 3D. For more videos like this, for people in the workplace, do click subscribe down there, mate. Ring that bell, but only like if you like. Now, obviously, a YouTube tech review ain't a YouTube tech review, mate, without a bunch of specs to talk about, so let's do that. I'm only covering the 46mm version of the Watch 4 Classic. The 42mm has got pretty much the same specs as the 46, it's just a different battery size, so just keep that in mind. So let's talk about that display. We'll start with that. It's a 450 by 450 pixel resolution Super AMOLED display with the super in the AMOLED, meaning whatever Samsung wanted to mean. It probably means we need something to describe how better this AMOLED display is to how we described it the year before when we said that was the best display ever. But it's covered in Corning Gorilla Glass DX. The battery is 361 milliamp hours with WPC wireless charging. It's got a 5nm Samsung Exynos W920 dual-core 1.18 GHz processor, with that 1.18 GHz being just about a small enough number so that next year when this watch begins to slow down right before the Watch 5 release, they can point to that and go, that's why it's beginning to slow down, mate. It's got 1.5 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of storage, and connectivity Bluetooth 5.0 LTE if you spec the 4G version of the watch. And it's got Wi-Fi 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, as well as NFC and GPS. Now, this thing is packed to the back teeth with sensors, mate, in many respects. It's like a little mini doctor's surgery on your wrist. It's got an accelerometer, it's got a barometer, a gyroscope, a geomagnetic sensor, ambient light sensor, optical bioactive sensor, which is your PPG electrocardiogram. It's got an ECG bioelectrical impedance analysis sensor in there as well. And with all that combined, you can pretty much tell how you're sleeping, you're snoring, you're farting, your blood oxygen, everything, mate. It's mental. The watch is also 5 ATM and IP68 rated. It's MIL STD 810G rated. That's a military standard for equipment testing with regards to environmental design. And then the software is the joint Google and Samsung developed Wear OS 3, which is a change from last year's Samsung watches on the Tizen operating system. So quite curious to see how that pans out and flowers in the future. And with the watch having the Samsung One UI skin over the top of it, which pretty much, mate, in all honesty, you wouldn't even know that this was a Google Wear OS operating system. It's so Samsunged over the top of it. Right, you're possibly going to have to humour me for the rest of this video. There's been a bit of a change of plan. It's in the time since I filmed the intro. There's a conference coming up in October, so it's a long story, but I'm doing a class as a speaker for Autodesk University. It's a virtual event. It's usually in Vegas. You've usually got a couple of months to prepare for this. I've got 2 weeks. I've got to plow all my time into that, which means this video has to be rushed a little bit. So the whole sort of YouTuber structured categorized review thing that I really wanted to do, because I've got a lot to say about this watch, I'm just going to have to sort of brain dump and just get it off my chest in an unstructured kind of waffly way. But that's okay. If you don't want to watch that and you want to watch something a bit more formalized and structured, then that's fine. That Autodesk University thing's quite the priority for me. It's quite a big deal, which you'll see what I mean when it comes out. But the Watch 4, here it is. Again, I've just had a new strap put on it. The hybrid leather silver strap has just arrived today. So I'm just going to give you some thoughts and opinions on this as quick as I can. Bear in mind, this is coming from someone who is migrating off of the Watch 3, but I am mindful of the fact that there may be, it's presumptuous, but there may be people who are buying a watch for the first time. So first impressions, when I first saw this, opened it up, looked at it in the box, my first impressions were crushing, overwhelming disappointment. I'm not going to lie. The reasons for that are because I've watched a lot of other reviewers who've covered Samsung watches, and I don't know what it is. They all seem to be very little people. And for the duration of the time that Samsung released smartwatches, they all seem to turn into Olympians in their suspiciously new fitness gear. Say no more on that. But I'm neither, right? I'm not an Olympian. I don't know where they get the time to doing this job, but I don't go out. I do 400 steps a day, and I've got big wrists. And the Watch 3 looked really small on my wrist. It really does, so I guess this is info for anyone with big wrists. These watches, yeah, they don't look massive on your wrists. They could be a little bit bigger. So when Samsung said that the Watch 4 was going to be 46mm as opposed to 45, yeah, it's only 1mm. But it gave me a bit of hope that maybe they're going to put that 1mm to use somehow to make it look a little bit bigger. Unfortunately not. When I first looked at it, it actually looked smaller than the 3. That I've been staring at the 3 for the last year, bear in mind. So when I first saw this in the box, it looked smaller. But that leads me on to the next point, which is the straps, because that was another complaint of other reviewers, was they were complaining about the straps because they bend outwards like this. That's a plus for me, again, because of my big, fat, chunky wrists. You see, when you put this on your wrist, the strap bends around like that, and it grips your big wrists, whereas little people, they're left with a gap either side of the sort of bendy out straps, and it sort of flaps around on the wrist. And the way that works is it's a new strap design. It's got this sort of concentric connector. It's not a connector, it just sort of sits flush with the body of the watch. And then it fills in the... That's another good thing about the Watch 4 for me. The strap fills in the gap between the body of the watch and the strap. I absolutely detested the gap between the watch and the strap. It's subjective, completely personal opinion. But when it was on your wrist, you could see the edge of the strap and it looked thin and cheap. And I didn't like it. So when I first saw that, I was pleased with that. But yeah, other people don't like that. That's cool. The little pin though for like taking the strap off is sort of recessed into the band. You got to dig your nails into that to get that out. That's not good. But that leads me on to the next thing. This is not good. And this trumps the benefits that I've just explained. Samsung have changed the lug size on the watch. Bear in mind that these two are equivalents. If you had this, you are only migrating to this. You're not going for the smaller watch, and you're probably not going for the cheaper Watch 4. Now, the Watch 3 had a lug size of 22mm. That means the distance between here and here is 22mm. Therefore, you buy 22mm straps. Anyone with a Watch 3, chances are you're into customizing your watches. So we had a whole bunch of straps. I've got tons of straps. They're all landfill because the Watch 4 has been changed to a 20mm lug size. It now uses 20mm straps. I can't use any of my... I was devastated when this came with the not so pleasant silver rubber strap on. I was like, yeah, I'm not having that on. I'm going to put on one of my, maybe a green or a white strap. Didn't fit. Absolutely far too big. I thought, what the actual... None of my straps fit. A heads up would have been appreciated on that, if I'm honest. I understand the reasons why they've done it, but a heads up, some transparency on that would have been appreciated, because I'm not going to lie, that genuinely would have made me reconsider whether or not I would have bought this watch. Because some of these straps, granted, a lot of them are just £5 here, £10 there. Some of them, some of the Archer leather straps are £40, right? Some of them are sentimental, birthday presents from my wife. They're not expensive, but they're sentimental. And I thought once you bought them, You can reuse them over and over again. No, can't do that anymore. Now, Samsung they've been clever with their stock straps because they've reduced the lug to 20mm, but they flared out the straps. So the connector is this little metal pin here. You might just be able to see that on the camera. But they flared out the edges of the strap to make the strap appear thicker than it actually is. That's great for the Samsung stock straps, but I'll tell you something for now. Third-party strap makers aren't going to do that. They don't have the tooling and the R&D to make these kind of a strap, right? They're not going to do that. They're going to go with the standard, just rectangular strap style. And I can tell you something for now, mate. A regular old 20mm thin strap on this watch, it isn't going to look good, in my opinion. You're going to be left with a gap again between the case and the strap. It's just crushing disappointment again for that side of things for me. That is my opinion. I don't think other people will mind so much, but for me, I wasn't a fan of that. But fortunately, I am actually a fan of the standard stock straps that you get with the new watches. I've just recently bought this one. This is the hybrid silver leather strap. They're struggling for stock at the moment. I'm looking to try and get the camel sort of mustardy, browny coloured strap, but the stock straps are actually pretty attractive. But that's that, right? Some other points. The battery. The battery's not great. It's worse than the Watch 3. At the end of every day, which is around 2 o'clock in the morning for me, my Watch 3 would usually be left with about 35% battery with the way I use it. I'm currently left with about 15 to 20% on this. Exactly the same setup, exactly the same apps. Bear in mind, I'm not your average watch user. I don't go out for 10-mile runs. I don't use the GPS. I don't talk into it, right? I don't do all that stuff. In fact, you could argue I don't need a watch. I use it to just look pretty. I use it for notifications for email, to calendar appointments. That's about it. I don't really use it for much else. And yeah, the battery's draining down. And I have the screen on max brightness, about 10. Always on displays on. And that's about 20%, 25% difference in reduced battery life between the Watch 4 and the Watch 3 has been my experience. The charging is something I would have expected and hoped Samsung to have improved on the Watch 4 over the 3, but it's still really bad. With the stock charger that you get with the Watch 4, when it's down to about 30%, it'll take about an hour and 15 to get up to 100%. However, if you did buy the Watch 3, one of the promotional gifts was this, I think they're called the wireless Duo pad. So you put the Watch 3 on the Duo pad, you put your phone on the bigger pad, and you can charge both your devices. The Watch 4, it works with this. I haven't looked into the power delivery rates and all that kind of stuff, but you get a reduced power charge through the Duo pad than you do through the stock charger. So I'm not really inclined to use this anymore. It takes an hour and 45 minutes to charge the Watch 4 from 30% to 100% using this. It takes over 2 hours to charge the Watch 4 to 100% from zero using this. That's a significant difference using this to the stock puck charger. It's just issue after issue, and it's all these little things just make a bit of buyer's remorse kicking in with the Watch 4. The operating system, now that it's Wear OS, that's one of the reasons why I bought this. There was 2 reasons why I bought this. If you're beginning to think, well, why the hell did you buy this? 2 reasons. The first one is Samsung announcing that they're changing to Wear OS. That usually results in them kind of binning their operating system, ties in pretty quickly. I didn't want to be on an operating system that was going to be binned. And secondly, I looked at the trade-in values on the Watch 3, and they're giving me £200 for my Watch 3 trade-in, which meant that the Watch 4 was only £178. That's a good deal, right? That's more than I'd get for this selling it on eBay. So I thought I'd take advantage of that. Strike whilst the iron's hot, as they say. But yeah, the operating system, Wear OS, is good actually. It's not terrible. It's heavily Samsung skinned, so you're not going to notice anything, right? You know what I mean? It's not a pain in the backside. There's a couple of glitches, which I think sort of early days stuff. Normally I'm very unforgiving on that, but because it is a brand new operating system on a Samsung watch, things like email notifications, I think it's account dependent, but sometimes I'll get an email notification and I can't read the email on my watch. That's really annoying. You still can't, this is a WhatsApp thing, but you still can't look at photos on this when a photo comes through, photo message. Come on, how hard's that, right? Everything else tends to be pretty okay, right? People have noticed that the GPS isn't all that accurate. I haven't been out and about testing that yet. It's struggling for Samsung native apps. There isn't an email app yet, and some other bits and pieces, but generally it's been fine for my usage. The two screens between the 3 and the 4, I would say the 4 is sharper. The screen on the 3 is more vivid in terms of colours, but you really do have to stare at the two of them side by side to notice the difference. But there isn't a massive jump up in quality between the two of them. You put them side by side, they look the same. You have to really interrogate the two of them to notice any difference. The hardware itself, it's subjective. Honestly, everyone I've shown the two of them to prefer the look of the 3, and I do as well. But that's not to say the Watch 4 is ugly or anything, but most people who I've shown the two of them to prefer the 3. The performance, this is a bone of contention. Everybody so far has said that the Watch 4 is significantly faster than the Watch 3. It is. But you know what? The Watch 3 was as quick as this on the day that I got the Watch 3. I'm not going to make any allegations or anything, but I would not be surprised if this thing has unnaturally slowed down over the year, because this was not as slow as it is today, the day that I got it. And I don't pack this thing up with junk. Like, I've got a couple of apps on it. I've got Facer, Spotify, that's it. And I haven't installed anything since the month that I bought it. Right, I don't fill it up with music, photos. There's nothing on this, right? And it's just sort of slowed itself down over the year, suspiciously over the last month, leading up to the launch of this. And all of a sudden, this comes out and it's super snappy, and everyone's talking about how fast this is. No, this was as fast as this when this came out. So I'm a bit skeptical on that. But it is fast, it is snappy. So is that one. But apart from that, mate, yeah, look, it's an absolutely incredible bit of technology. I'm super impressed with it. It's just not enough of a leap up from the 3 to make me feel great about it, right? But I'm still happy with the trade-in value that I got for it. I was hoping for more size, more features, and I was kind of hoping my straps would have fit. But I get why they've done that, right? For unifying all their stock and the manufacturing processes. But that's cool. But there you go. That's my Watch 4 brain dump. I don't think there's anything else really that I need to get off my chest with it. One more thing. I don't know whether this is me. It's probably not, because I don't recall ever doing anything with this, but the 2 buttons are flipped now. Like, the home button on the Watch 4 is the top one with the red sort of arrow around, or the red mark around it. That's changed. The home button is the bottom button on the Watch 3. Now it's the top button on the Watch 4. It's flipped. The back button's flipped as well. Yeah, why? I don't know. Maybe it's a Google thing. Google have mandated that. I don't know. But yeah, that just takes some getting used to. Anyway, I hope you found it useful. If you did, click the like button if you liked it. Get subscribed if you want to find out what it is I'm working on with Autodesk University, mate. Sorry this wasn't the most organised video I've ever made. I've just got quite a lot on at the moment, which is good. I'm just struggling to get the time to kind of fit it all in, but thanks for watching. It's been Tech 3D. Check out my links, my website in the description below. I'm working on my website and building that up over time, just adding extra bits and pieces in. It's a bit sparse at the moment, but it's all down there. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next one. Doodles.